Okay. Hi, everyone. This is the cluster API provider for Bring Your Own Host office hours of 12th January 2022. So we are abiding by the CNCF Code of Conduct. And if at any point of time, if you all have any questions, comments, please use the raise hands feature. So this is the first office hours. Welcome, everyone. So we'll take a minute to fill in the agenda if you all have any questions or anything you want to talk about. And in the meantime, I'd appreciate if you all added your names to the attendees list. I hope you all have the link to the meeting notes, right? Let me share it in the Zoom chat as well.
Anusha, I think you changed that
I
title.
changed the wrong one, yeah. Okay, I think we can go about doing a roundtable. This is the first time, I think it'll be good if we all introduce ourselves. So I'll go first. I'm Anusha. I'm an engineer from VMware. So for the past few months, I've been working on the Bring Your Own Host Provider project. Yep, that's it about me. Who wants to go next?
Yeah,
next. Oh, sorry, go on, Dharmjit.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt. So yeah, hi everyone. I'm Dharmjit. I'm again a software developer at VMware, and I'm working on Bring Your Own Host from like last 6 months. Yeah, that's it.
Hey folks, I'm Jamie, engineer working with Anusha and Dharmjit on Bring Your Own Host from VMware. Anusha, by the way, I don't think everybody has edit access to the doc, so we can't really add our names. So
okay.
you might want to fix the edit permissions.
Okay, I'll just add your names now. Nobody else can edit, is it?
Maybe you want to add the SIG cluster lifecycle Google group.
Yeah, we have not created any Google groups yet. So we'll do that in a bit. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a general one for sort of SIG cluster lifecycle which you can add. We'll give everyone access.
Yeah.
Hey, hello, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Sorry, I had some earphones issues. So I guess we can start, or we should start by now.
You want to introduce yourself?
Can you give us edit access to the doc?
Okay. Probably here. This will just view. Okay. Now.
Anusha, I think like Richard actually shared that group. If you shared it with the group, I think at least we
did.
would have gotten it. But it's fine. I think what you've done for now should work.
But is everybody on the call part of SIG cluster lifecycle Google group?
It's a good
yeah.
question.
Yeah, until then, Richard, do you want to go next?
Yeah, hi, Richard. I'm one of the maintainers of the AWS provider, but I'm here as interested person that wants to use the provider. At Weaveworks, we developed a similar provider probably about 2 years ago, but it had many problems. So really interested in this provider and how we can actually use it. So yeah, it's really cool.
Thank you. Scott, do you want to go next?
Yeah. Hi. So Hi, everyone. My name is Scott. I work at TerraSky, a partner from VMware and AWS and other companies working on Cluster API a lot for our customers, and very interested in bring your own host.
Nice, thank you. Eran, do you want to go next? Did I get that right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Hi, so I'm Eran Cohen. I work at Red Hat. I'm a software engineer at the ecosystem Edge team, and we're trying to create our bring your own host for Hypershift.
Okay. Fabrizio, you need no introduction, but still.
Hey everyone, Fabrizio Pandini. I work on VMware. I'm a technical lead in C cluster lifecycle, and I work on cluster API. And yeah, and I'm following Bring Your Own Host since the beginning. So yeah, looking forward to hear what it will become in future.
Thank you. Vijay? We can't hear you. No, can't.
Now you're able to hear me, Anusha?
Yes, yes.
Okay. You're able to hear me?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I'm Jack Mar. I work at VMware, part of the engineering management in VMware, working with Anisha, Damjit, and Jimmy on the BOH part of it. Thank you.
I guess everybody is done, right? Yeah, okay. So I'll just give a quick intro on what the current status of Bring Your Own Host is. So we started this out like about, I think 6-7 months ago, like Fabrizio said, he was involved from the beginning. We started it out because when a user has their own environment of or has their own infrastructure and still want to leverage Cluster API. So for an infrastructure like Hyper-V, when there's no provider present, so this was the solution that came to our mind, that we have to write a provider that can work in any kind of infrastructure. So that's how this project started. And I think coming to this, a lot of us on the call like have tried to do a different version of Bring Your Own Host in the past. So the naming convention might be a little different from what you are used to, but there are just three main components in this project. One is the basic controllers that we have. So these are like, we call them BYO machine controllers. This is similar to what other infra machine controllers are there, like AWS machine or vSphere machines. And then we have an agent. So this is nothing but this is a process that runs on every host. So once you start this process, this is going to register the host in the management cluster, and there's a controller running on every host that does the reconciliation of Kubernetes node. Now the user can choose to install their own Kubernetes bits on the host, or they can also rely on the provider to install the Kubernetes bits as well. And for that, we have this installer component that will install right from containerd, kubelet, and bring up all the necessary services for kubeadm to bootstrap the host into a node. At the moment, the installer supports only Ubuntu 20.04 and K8s version 122.3. So in future, we can look at adding more support. So these are the main components of the provider. And coming to the current status of this, we have had a few alpha releases last year. And just last week, we just introduced the V010 release. And we have the next milestone planned. That is, where can I see milestones? Yeah. So we have defined a V011 milestone. This is because we want to make the code base a little more stable before all of us can start collaborating more and adding more features to the project. So we have just defined this milestone to say do some refactoring that was put on hold, or to improve our tests, add more testing. So that's the goal of this milestone. Yeah, so that's the current status. Anybody else wants to add something? Okay. I actually thought Avishai is going to be on the call. So some context.
So wait, Avishai just he talked to me earlier today. He got COVID yesterday, and he's not feeling that well. So he asked me to bring up the design proposal, and maybe we can talk about it.
Okay.
You got the link?
Yeah. So just I think a couple of pointers before that. So since we just went open source, I think 2-3 months ago, and to be honest, we still don't have all the bits in place, right? We don't have a contributor ladder, or we don't have an owner's file. So we have to figure all of that out, but we hope we can figure it out together as in when we progress. So having said that, we don't have things like docs, proposals, templates, and that sort of thing. But last month, we as in me, Jamie, and Dharmjit, met with Avishai, wherein Red Hat expressed their interest in collaborating on BYOH, and Avishai offered to write up a proposal as to how we can merge or continue from here. So this is the doc for that. So Iran, do you want to take over?
Sure. Okay, you can keep presenting. So maybe I think Avishai presented in the last meeting how we used the CAPI provider in OpenShift, and how we essentially already have something that we call zero-touch provisioning for creating OpenShift cluster, which already used this agent notion that send the inventory of the host, and we already have some service that knows how to orchestrate the installation. And lately what we did is added a CAPI implementation around it that utilized this agent and actually create a machine, creates a cluster, and then orchestrate the installation, the scale up, scale down of that cluster. And yes, here in the proposal, Avishai is try to do is just look at what you guys did at VMware, what we did, and find the common denominators, and just create some layer on top of what we all use and share, and try to create some common API that we can all use to have this bring your own host CAPI provider. So the proposal or the user story for this provider is, as I said, you can create a cluster, you can deprovision a cluster, and you should be able to scale up and down that cluster. And the cluster should consume hosts that are registered with an agent. And once you scale it down or deprovision the cluster, those machines or hosts should get back to some available pools in order to be reused. So the API, I guess, for this includes a cluster, bring your own host cluster, bring your own host machine, and template for that machine. And I guess the trick or the thing where we diverge is the host provider, okay? Because or maybe one comment before we go into that is that I think the main idea behind it is that this provider is platform agnostic, meaning that there is no call to some cloud providers. There is no some specific assumption like that this is a bare metal host or this is a virtualized host. Like, this provider should stay agnostic and should allow the user to install whatever host it brings. And if we have some specific provider logic, it should reside in the host provider that both the cluster and the bring your own host machine have ref to that host provider. And that is where we should put specific stuff that we do their provider. And we came up with some basic APIs that provider should implement. And these are the 4 methods that we came up with. And this is what they do. So let me just scroll down here and see if we can, like, I don't know, try to get the full picture of what we think this should look like. So the bring your own host cluster controller essentially just get until it gets an owner cluster, which is the CAPI API, and then just wait for a valid control plane. It adds a finalizer. So once we delete this cluster, it will wait until all hosts or all machines are deleted, and then it's going to call the host provider reconcile method, and it sets the, okay, I guess this is a bit confusing, but essentially it should just wait for the machines and keep calling the host provider reconciler to reconcile the cluster and set the status to ready once we're good. I would move this down here just so. Okay, I don't have permissions on this stuff. Okay, the machine controller, I guess it's all just one layer on top of what we currently do. So again, it waits for an owner machine, and once it has that, it's gonna find a host using the host provider. And okay, this logic should be common. Looking, I guess this is where we really share the code about how we match the right machine according to the inventory, to some, I don't know, labels we probably want to use. And once it gets once it finds the machine, the actual host, it's going to call the host provider, initiate host installation, and again monitor the installation until it can set the status to ready or failed. And node provider ID controller is something that we found out that we need in our implementation, and I guess in others, because at the end of the day, that node that joins need to get a provider ID on it, like some label saying where this node came from. And since there is no cloud provider or any kind of other provider, so currently we added that logic in our provider, and we assume that any agnostic provider will probably need that as well. But I guess this is open for discussion. And this is the proposal as far as I understand what our goal and objectives are. That's it.
Thank you, Ryan. Any questions, comments? Yes, Jamie.
I guess like from my, I just saw this proposal for the first time, so I'm just like reacting off the cuff. Want some time to like deliberate a little bit more. But my immediate reaction is that I understand you want to extract an interface, and I think like that interface, like what you're describing, should be the BYO host object, right? I think it can be like the Kubernetes, like CRD itself, which can be our interface for like communication. I think right now we are assuming that the controller calls the host agent directly, but there is no such communication, right? They are decoupled. The host agent monitors the CRD and then just like implements changes that the CRD protocol reflects, right? So I think the interface that you're pushing for should be the BYO host object, but that's my gut reaction right now. And what I would love to understand is what is the difference, because like I think this is helpful to know like what you want to do, but what's the difference? Because at the moment we have the installer bit, which is again based on an interface, like this is the software I want to install. So you can switch out that installer for like installing different bits. So for example, if in Red Hat y'all are installing like a different Kubernetes binary or whatever, right? Like that's something that's already pluggable. But I suspect you'll have more life cycles or like more hooks that you want, right? And I think it would be helpful to understand like what is it that you'll need, what is different, and then we can introduce that in the what do you call, like we can make that pluggable in the host agent, I think, right? But I'll stop there. I've been rambling for like a good 2 minutes now. That's my quick reaction.
Yes, Fabrizio.
Yeah, I don't want to go into detail, just let me say a high-level comment. It seems that, first of all, thank you for the document. Second, it seems to me that the difference are small, because at the end, all the problem that you are talking about, I pick one, I don't know the provider ID, they are already in the Bring Your Own solution. So basically, the TLDR is that we both solve the same problem. What we have to do is to find a common ground so a solution that fits for everyone. What will help is, at least for this proposal, to have a component diagram, so we can we can understand where you put your component, where we have the same component in Bring Your Own architecture, and figure out which is the best solution.
Thank you, Fabrizio. Any more comments? Okay. So I guess everybody has this link, right? So if you can go through it offline and provide any comments async, that will also be good. Yep. Next, Jamie, next item is yours. You want to talk about it?
Yeah, I guess I'm just like asking for folks that are new on the call and we haven't spoken to before, like how can we be more helpful? Like if you want to try this out or you want to just experiment or something, is there anything that we can do to help? I guess we're just excited that we're collaborating with everyone. So we just want to be as helpful as possible to make sure that y'all can try out and come on board.
Yes, Iran.
Okay, so just about the questions earlier about why this is different than the current Bring Your Own host. So I think what we try to achieve is to have the logic about matching actual host to the machine shared, because this is where we think we can really enjoy each other, or where we can put the really common logic. And I think the rest is where we maybe want to have a specific logic and have the specific provider do the things it does. That's I think the main goal.
Yeah, this makes absolutely sense. Let me say, what we have to work is that we have a slightly different terminology that probably makes difficult to talk each other. So the idea of having a diagram is just to find a way to visualize the two approaches, so we can find strength, weakness, and then the best common ground. Because we are more than happy to add extensibility where it is required, and to make synergies where there is opportunities. So there is a win-win. So it's just a matter to find the right terminology and a common language that allows us to move forward as fast as possible.
Okay, but do you think that we need something like this, where we move the specific provider logic into some other object, or you want to stay with the current bring your own host API and try to hook some other way?
I think that it is early to make this call. So my comment, my request about the diagram is that I understand your proposal, but I'm not sure that I grok it in the detail. So
Okay.
if we got a diagram, probably we can better comment on your proposal, understand what we are targeting, appreciate the strength, and comment on it. So the idea of the diagram is just to work toward a better compression, not to judge. It is too early.
Sure. Okay.
Or to provide feedback.
Cool. I do have a question. Like, so I didn't attend the last meeting, but to my understanding, Avishai did present the current implementation we have, right? Or
sorry,
maybe
I didn't catch you.
okay. I asked if I said that I didn't attend the last meeting, but to my understanding, you did get a look or a demo of what we already implemented.
Yeah, I think on the last call, Avisha did show the motivation, like what was behind you guys writing a provider. And
Yeah.
I don't really recall the demo, but I think he did show about what different components are there. Yeah, but
Okay.
I think it's good to add that, I think, as a component diagram in the proposal. And I think it also makes sense for BOH to have a component diagram. We don't have that. It'll be very easy to compare later then. Yeah.
Okay, because I
we'll add
think
it for BOH too.
This is what maybe we need. Like maybe we need some background into how our implementation differs from yours, and maybe what we anticipate others might do, and then we can discuss on what should be our common bring your own host design.
Yeah.
Thank you. This will be great.
Okay.
Thank you. Any other question, comments? See that 2 new people joined a bit late. Mayur, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. Hey everyone. I'm part of TKG Edge, and we are working on currently on creating a tiny cube, like a smaller version of Kubernetes to run on the edge. So happy to be here. Like I just saw the meeting invite late, so that's why I just got excited.
Thank you. Fred?
Yes, so I work with Aaron on the same team at Red Hat, working on the KAPI provider for agent-based deployments.
Okay, welcome. So if there are no other items, I think this was a good first office hours. So feel free to comment on the doc, the design proposal doc. In the meantime, we'll come up with the component diagrams. Yeah, that is all. Thanks everyone. See you next week. Bye.